Hello, everybody. Coming at you from Live Cash Poker Crusher channel. I have another video for you today, and we're going to focus on how to use advanced poker training to find our leaks and areas to improve. Right now, I'm on the Advanced Poker Training homepage. I've signed in. This is what you will see after you sign up and sign in for the program. And after you've spent um, some time and a lot of hands playing the game, you will have some reports some data to analyze. In total, I played a lot of hands, about 348,000 hands in the last 2.5 years. But in the last 30 days, I've covered about 5,000 hands. So what we can do is we can take a look at the last 30 days, for example, and see how I've been performing. So just looking at the overview page, in the last 30 days, I've played 4,910 hands. I've earned 1,600 per 100 hands. I don't put a lot of weight in that number because I play um, different uh, different blinds. So I mainly focus at the blinds per 100 hands. I'm earning 88 blinds per 100 hands. That's an incredible number. Now against AI that doesn't adjust to your play, that number can be inflated. It's a great number, but I take that with a grain of salt. At least I can say I'm a profitable player. But we're gonna take it down a little deeper and see what areas do we need to focus on in the last 5,000 hands. It's a very, very small sample size. Nevertheless, we can get an idea. This is my overall profit in big blinds. The graph looks very good, and it resembles the overall profit in dollars because I think in the last 30 days I've been playing mainly 2-5 games. Now, when you hover over the performance tab, you can look at your performance by hands, positions, difficulties, and streets. I'll start with the streets. That's the most simplest one to take a look at and analyze. Um, Takes a little while to load sometimes because my internet connection is not so great. But looking at the streets, pre-flop, it's in the green, 15 big blinds per 100 hands. On the flop, I'm earning 89 big blinds per 100 hands. Turn, even more, 121 big blinds per 100 hands. And river, 70.82 big blinds per 100 hands. No complaints there. I think that's all in order. I'm really happy with that result. So we're going to move on to difficulties. And this has to do with the difficulty of the tables that you're playing on. Mainly, I've been playing on 2 difficulty levels. And really, it's not difficulties. I try to simulate the environment that I play in a live cash game. And the live cash game that I play in mainly tends to be recreational amateur players, which resembles the table called Phil's Garage and Party Poker 9 Max on this software. So doing pretty good in both of those tables. I haven't played any other tables in the last 30 days, so we don't have the results for that. As far as positions it goes, looks like I am doing pretty well in all positions except under the gun +2. So maybe in my next session, we're going to focus on some hands solely from under the gun +2s to see where my leaks are. Right here, it gives you a little bit of data. I've been dealt this position 541 times. I've played it about 16% of the times. I'm losing 35 big blinds per 100 hands, and the target is 6.5. Now, that target is achieved by the creators of the software comparing your performance to some of the best performers on this software, other participants, other customers, and there are hundreds and hundreds of thousands of them. Average player is making minus 4.5 big blinds per 100 hands and I'm quite a bit below that. So this is a definite leak. We've just identified a leak that I need to work on, and this leak is position based. And the best player is making 14 big blinds per 100 hands. So of all the players that they have and they collect data on, this is the information we get. The average is 6.5. Sorry, the average is minus 4.5. The target is 6.5, and the best player is doing 14 big blinds per 100 hands. Now, from here, I can easily hit practice now, and I will be dealt hands just in that position over and over again, and I'm going to demonstrate that for you shortly. When it comes to hands, I love looking at this area. There's a lot to be gained in this, a lot of knowledge to be gained about your playing this area. The first tab we're gonna see, once you open your hands performance, you're gonna see multiple tabs here. The first one is static. It just gives you some information about hands that it recommends to play, and uh, how others have fared playing these hands. Now, if you want to look at your particular performance, you click on that tab, and in the last 5,000 hands, in the last 30 days, this has been my performance. Now, what does that mean? For example, let's look at pocket aces. I've been dealt 17 times pocket aces. How often have I played it? I played it 100%, as I should, as anybody should. I have earned 2,844 big blinds per 100 hands. The target is 1,229 per 100 hands. So I'm doing well above that target. The average player is doing 1,098 big blinds per 100 hands, and the best players are doing around 1,359, and I'm above that. So I'm really happy with that result. However, some of these other lower pocket suits, offsuit kings, and even pocket kings. Look at pocket kings. I am losing a lot of money with pocket kings. Now, why is that? We're gonna have to look at it more deeply and try to decipher as to why that is happening, especially with hands pocket like suited. Sorry, with pocket pairs like pocket kings, tens, nines. That's not acceptable. Looking at the next tab, it gives you the hands that are your best and worst. It says this tab shows 3 hands in which you are beating the target win rate by the most and are behind the target by the most in red. A hand has to be played by you at least 5 times to qualify. So the hand that I'm losing the most, I can see by the numbers, is 9-8 suited. That's not acceptable. Pocket fives, doing really bad with pocket fives. King 9 suited, not so great. The next tab, hand selections, shows me hands that I played correctly, should have played, should not have played, should have not played but winning, like King Queen suited, 6-4 suited, 6-3 suited, and also not played but they were correct, which is majority of the chart. These hands in yellow, I should have played, but I guess I'm playing a little too tight and not playing them. And these suited 1-gappers or 2-gappers, most of the time, I believe they were in the blinds, and I should avoid them, but still, when playing them, I am winning, so I'm happy with that result. The ones that I need to focus on to play a little bit wider are these yellow ones, Queen Jack off, King 10 off, Ace 9 off, and I probably should avoid playing this tricky King 8 suited, especially in early positions. Profitability, these are the hands that I'm profitable with and hands that I'm not. Kings, very concerning. So let's set up a game where we can practice pocket kings, pocket fives, and play mainly from under the gun +2 position, which was my weakest position. Now, one thing that I like to look at from time to time that doesn't really matter, but it's interesting for me. I don't think it's very consequential, but I think it's interesting, is the luck factor. Now, the way they calculate luck is in a long enough timeline with a lot of hands played, you should average about 50-50. So if your luck is above that 50% mark, you're getting a little lucky. And if your luck is below that 50% mark, you're getting a little unlucky. But overall, in the long term, it should even out. Now, what I'd like to see is my luck to be below that 50% mark, meaning that I'm unlucky, but my graph's still moving in the right direction. That's ideally what I would like to see. So right here, it shows overall, I'm getting a little lucky, actually a lot of luck, almost 2%. I am getting lucky, and you can focus deeper into the hand selection to see where your luck is coming from. For example, definitely when it comes to when I saw the flop with pocket pair and flopped a set or better, I'm not doing so hot. Only 33% of the time. So I have been running bad in flopping sets. Uh, Probability is about 12% of the times, and I'm hitting it at 8% of the times. But in other factors, for example, when dealt a suited connector, I've been dealt a suited connector more often than I should get it. But here's where my luck really shines. I was dealt two suited cards and went to the river and had a flush or better. I'm supposed to only achieve that at 11.92% of the times, and I'm doing it at 19.47 times. Great, I'm happy about that. But it's kind of meaningless because you can't control luck. But if you ever feel like, hey, I'm not hitting sets, am I doing something wrong? If you can just take a look at your history and see how luck has been helping you in that regard, maybe you're doing everything wrong, right, and you're just getting unlucky. That's a bit of a consolation. And furthermore, you can go into hand analysis and really dive into every single hand that you've played. I'm just going to briefly show you what that looks like, but it's such a large topic. We don't have time to get to it in this video. Hopefully in some future videos, I will have time to cover that. It's pretty intense. You can actually replay the hands that you've played, which is very, very helpful, but we'll touch on that later. Along with the skills tab, there's a lot to be uncovered here, but I'll leave that for a later video. For now, we're gonna go and focus on the position under the gun +2 and the hands. So we're gonna just hit the practice button, and I'm just gonna select a custom list and put in pocket kings and pocket fives, because those are the hands that I'm losing the most with, and this is the position that I've been losing the most with. So we're going to practice those over and over and over again. Let me enlarge this window so we can all see it a little better. So the table that I'm playing at, it's party poker. It's a very beginner crowd. As you can see, if I hover on these players, their stats are ranging from mid 30s to low 50s, with some players being a little bit less. For example, this player who's loose aggressive, but he has a VPIP of 17%. But nevertheless, the bots at this table, they try to mimic and simulate a low experience recreational player. So if you normally play at a cash game where the player pool is low experience recreational players, you can mimic that environment and play accordingly. Now, I am in under the gun +2, and every hand I will be in that position, and I'm going to get either pocket fives or pocket kings so I can formulate my strategy and focus on it, on that position, on those hands. Now it gets limped around to me. I would normally raise this hand. Now, that's what I would normally do. Am I right? Am I wrong? I don't really know. So how can I find the best strategy to play against uh, these uh, these sort of opponents? Well, for that, I have a resource available that has helped me tremendously. It's another AI resource, but it's in a form of a poker coach. What I've done is I've created and trained an AI bot on hundreds and hundreds of thousands of hands for simulating live cash environments, and I use it to help me formulate my strategy a little better. This AI is available on ChatGPT, and it's called the Live Cash Crusher AI. Let me bring the window down so you can see it a little better. Right here, Live Cash Crusher Poker Coach. And we can talk to this poker coach just like any other human being or any other poker coach out there, except it's available to us 24/7 anytime we want. Especially useful, I find, after playing a particular hand at a live table. I can walk away from the table and consult the poker coach and see what it has to say. If you want to analyze a hand, you can just say, I want to analyze a hand, and that's written in 3 different languages. In any language, you can communicate with this poker coach. But right now, I want to uh, talk about my leaks. So I'm going to tell it a little bit about my problem and see what advice it has for me. I have a leak in my game from position under the gun +2 in a 9 max game. In this position, I tend to lose the most compared to others. Help me fix this leak. A simple command like that, and let's see what it comes back with. So it says, to address a leak from under the gun +2 in a 9 max game, let's focus on a few crucial adjustments that will improve your results. Here's a breakdown factors to consider based on expert strategies outlined in the material. Tighten starting hand selection. Under the gun +2 is still an early position, meaning you face more players with potential to hold strong hands. Tighten your range by avoiding speculative hands like offsuit connectors, low pocket pairs, under 6s, so 5s. We're gonna fold them out. That's great to know. That makes my life really easy in this exercise. Don't even play pocket 5s. And suited 1-gappers that don't play well out of position. Stick to hands that can handle pressure, like premium hands. Strong Broadway hands and high suited connectors only if you're confident in your post-flop games. Pre-flop aggression. When you do enter the pot from the under the gun +2, it's often better to come in with a raise rather than a limp call. Don't be passive. This puts pressure on the opponents and prevents the pot from becoming multi-way. Whether it's harder to realize equity with weaker holdings, where it's harder to realize equity with weaker holdings, aim for around 3 to 4x pot size as raise size to thin the field. Avoid overcommitting post-flop. Be cautious when out of position. If you miss the flop or have a marginal hand, prioritize pot control. This means checking more often or even folding to aggression rather than trying to bluff through difficult situations. Too much aggression from early position can become costly against players who call a wide pre-flop, but tighten up post-flop, reading position and player tendencies. Watch for aggressive players in later positions and know who is likely to three bet or call lightly. If you're facing a table where later position players often re-raise, consider folding or tightening your range to further reduce losses. Spotting traps and slow plays, since under the gun +2 is early. Opponents who call your raise might hold strong but hidden hands, especially if they play conservatively. Be prepared to give up when you sense strength on later streets, even if it means folding to top pair and overpair. Incorporate these adjustments in your next session and stay disciplined in your hand and this blah, blah, blah. Okay. Now, what I want to do, I want to refine this advice to fit my practice session a little bit more. I am playing at a table mainly full of beginner recreational players with loose, passive, or aggressive tendencies. Also, I am mainly playing 2 hands two type of hands for practice. Pocket fives and pocket kings. Advise me on how to play these two hands at this type of table to increase my win rate. All right, perfect. Let's see what it has to say. It says playing against beginner recreational players with loose tendencies can be highly profitable if approached correctly, especially with pocket pairs like fives and kings. Here's how to optimize your strategy. Pre-flop, aim to enter the pot cheaply, primarily just for set mining against loose passive players who are more likely to call raises. You can open with smaller raise, encouraging them to enter the pot and possibly inflate it if you hit your set. Post-flop, when you hit a set, if you hit a set, bet for value. Beginners often overvalue hands like top pair and will call down with weaker holdings. Keep your size moderate on the flop to keep them in case, then increase it on the turn or river. So don't go crazy on the flop, even if you hit the set. Post flop, when you miss, if you don't hit your set, proceed cautiously. Avoid large continuation bets on boards with multiple overcards unless you have specific read on your opponent and your opponent folds easily. Check folding on unfavorable boards is often the best option to minimize losses. Pocket kings, and that's how I should play pocket fives. Now pocket kings, let me add something. I will only play UTF plus 2 position in this exercise with these two hands. Let's see if its advice about pocket fives still remains, because I got a sense that I shouldn't play pocket fives from under the gun plus 2. Again, pocket fives and under the gun plus 2. Aim to enter the pot small if you want to control the pot size and set mine. However, if the table is loose passive players who routinely call, a slightly larger pot raise 3 to 4x could help to isolate. Post flop, so I guess it still is recommending to play the pocket fives. I think in a much tighter, more experienced table, it would be wise not to play pocket fives, because you always have the danger of getting 3-bet later on. Pocket kings and under the gun plus 2 pre-flop, open with a strong raise 3 to 4x, protect your hand and thin the field, but still allow calls from weaker holdings, which beginners tend to overvalue. If a loose player 3-bets or 4-bets for value, most beginners will call with worse, while only a few tight passive ones would likely have pocket aces. Post flop, on a dry board, no ace. With no ace on the board, bet aggressively on all streets. Use larger sizes, especially on the flop and the turn, to maximize value, as recreational players will often call down with weaker hands like top pair. Post flop, with an ace on the board. It's really cool that it makes that distinction, this AI. An ace can slow you down, and some beginners overvalue any ace if they hold. If they hold an ace, consider a small continuation bet to gauge their reaction. If they call or raise, they may hold an ace, and you can exercise pot control, considering folding to heavy aggression. Okay, that's the plan of action. So we are going to play from under the gun with pocket fives and kings with that plan. So right here, I'm gonna just raise, make a small raise. We'll make it 20 and see where it goes. Obviously, we get re-raised, so this is not what we like, and we will fold. Pocket fives again. Let's try raising it a little bigger, see what happens. In this case, I will raise it to 30. We open for 30 and we get through. Okay, great. Another pocket five. This time let's open for 25 since under the gun plus 5 folded. And we get 3-bet to 75 from the small blind. Since we have position on the small blind, we'll call and see a flop. We didn't hit the flop. We have no draw. The board is paired. It's a really ugly situation with a flush draw out there. And the small blind is continuing with a lot of aggression. Easy fold. Pocket fives again. Let's raise it again to 25. All right. We got an ace, 4 deuce rainbow board. We're going to check it through. Hopefully see a turn. It checks through again. So on a board like this, where at a recreational table, a lot of people would bet their aces. We can be fairly sure that there's no ace out there. And we can try to buy the pot right now with half-size bet pot representing some combination pair out there or a flush draw and see where it goes. And we take it down. Great. Wonderful. Carry on forward. Oh, we got our first pocket kings and under the gun raises. So cool. In this scenario, we're going to raise. We're going to raise 3x of the raise and plus the dead money. That'll be about $39. Let's make it 45 since they want to play. We'll try to inflate the pot and see how it turns out. And we got a 4-bet. Well, yeah, we got a 4-bet and a 5-bet. In this scenario, it's hard to know what the right decision is because these are really passive players. I am inclined to shove, and if I'm going up against pocket aces, so be it. We'll pay them off. But let's talk with our poker coach and see what he advises. In a particular hand with king of clubs, and let's see, king of hearts. King of hearts. Under the gun, raised for 17. Hero, 3-bet to, what did we 3-bet to? 45. 45. And small blind made it 115. And under the gun, re-raised to 239. Small blind, re-raised to 115. And under the gun, re-raised to 239. This is a recreational table full of loose, passive, and aggressive players. Also, the effective stack, we all have about the same. All 3 players have about 500 stacks. What should I do? I want to jam. Let's see. This is where having this tool is so powerful. It says with pocket kings in this spot facing substantial action on loose recreational table, here's the breakdown. Initial action, the under the gun player opens and then 5 bets after your 3-bet and small blinds 4-bet. So it understands the situation really well. This kind of aggression, especially from early position, often represents extremely strong range, particularly at a loose aggressive table where players are often more transparent. Recreational players tend to play straightforwardly with their strongest hands pre-flop, especially with big bets or 5-bet shoves. In this case, under the gun's 5-bet after 2 raises should raise some concerns. probability of pocket aces. Given this level of aggression, there's a significant chance of at least one of these opponents, likely under the gun, holds pocket aces. Recreational players, especially loose aggressive or loose passive types, rarely 5-bet without having it. While some hands like ace king or queens may occasionally be in the mix, the 5-bet usually narrows their range heavily towards aces at these types of tables. Stack sizes and equity with around 500 effective stacks, you're committing your entire stack if you jam, making it uh, uh, making it essential to be highly confident that your kings is ahead. If you jam and face aces, you're in rough 80-20 equity disadvantage, making this a very high risk play in the face of such aggression. Recommendation: as tough as it is, folding kings is likely the most plus EV decision multi-way aggression pattern. This multi-way aggression pattern, particularly at a table with loose players where under the guns re-raise signifies extreme strength, suggests that you're up against aces a large percentage of the time. Folding in this spot avoids high risk scenario when you're likely to under the gun. One of the other things that I want to consider in this decision is, what if we go 3 ways for showdown? So basically we all go all in. Would that change anything? Should that change anything in my decision whether to fold or jam? So I'm going to ask my coach this question. Would facing a 3-way jam change anything about your recommendation? Basically, do you still want me to fold? Would you still recommend folding in a 3-way pot jam? So, yeah, it looks like it's saying, yeah, if you're facing a 3-way all-in jam in this scenario, it strengthens the case for folding kings even further, and here's why, and it explains it. I won't get into it, but the final recommendation still remains: facing a 3-way jam here, folding kings is the optimal play, preserving your stack and waiting for a less polarized spot to improve your overall EV. That's great advice, because my initial instinct, even after playing so many hours of poker, was, hey, let's jam, get it in there and see what happens. Who's going to lay down pocket kings? But what this poker coach is saying makes sense 100% of the times, and I'm going to follow his advice. By the way, if you want to get your hands on this invaluable tool that's always going to be with you in your pocket, on your phone, on the app, away from the table, any time of the day or night, even at the table between hands, it's completely available to you for free if you sign up and purchase a subscription for Advanced Poker Training, which is this invaluable tool to help you exercise the theories of poker and advice of the poker coach. These two tools together is a deadly combination. It's one thing to be able to see thousands of hands and analyze your data. It's another thing to know how to fix it, which is the role of the coach, fixing your leaks, advising you in these tough spots. So for now, I'm going to fold. And you know what? I'm going to do 2 different things. Right now, I'm going to go with my first instinct, and I'm going to jam. And then we're going to use a feature of advanced poker training, which is to replay the same exact spot and try a different approach, a different strategy. This time, the second time would be the advice of the live poker crusher coach, and see what the different outcomes are. So I'm going to jam, and let's see where it goes. Not a great run out for us. He did have aces. We were dead in the water. Small blind folded. Absolutely great advice. We're going to have to rebuy, get back to the table. But now that we're back at the table, we can press this very convenient retry previous hand button and get back to where we were. So let's say we do the same thing. We raise to 45. and small blind jams. This time, obviously, the advice would be to fold. But let's say, what if we didn't fold? What if we didn't fold? We just flat in the middle position, and we go to the flop. And obviously, the under the gun comes out swinging. He bets. There's nothing we can do. Even if we shove all in again, very small chance that he's going to fold. Let's try it. No, he's going to. Oh, he did fold. We got him to fold. So maybe against this player, maybe with pocket kings, that's a suitable strategy. Let's talk to the coach. So I took a different line. I called the under the guns pre-flop 5-bet and small blind folded. Went to flop 3 heads up, and flop was, let's see, what was the flop? Going back, flop was 7 of spades, 5 of clubs, and 10 of diamonds. 7 of spades, 5 of clubs, and 10 of diamonds. Under the gun, bet 100, and we jammed. Under the gun, folded. What do you think? Well, let's be a little bit more professional. Analyze this play for the hero and villain. So this is what happened. Let's see what he thinks of the play for the hero and the villain. Hero's play with pocket kings. Pre-flop call of a 5-bet. By calling rather than 6-betting and folding, you're keeping the pot manageable while retaining equity against under the gun's likely strong range. This can be beneficial if you suspect under the gun has a hand like queens or ace-king, but aren't certain. It's slightly conservative, but reasonable choice. Calling here gives you the flexibility, allowing you to avoid an all-in confrontation pre-flop while still extracting value if under the gun overplays ace, king, or queens on the flop. Flop play, jam on that flop. The board is dry and unlikely to hit under the gun's high card, heavy 5-bet range. Hands like ace, king, or ace, queen. By jamming over under the gun's $100 bet, you're putting maximum pressure on hands that miss the flop and are drawing thin. Since ace, king, or ace, queen would likely fold to this jam on a dry board, it's a strong way to deny equity from these overcards, maximizing fold equity. Even queens might find it difficult to call here. This line is risky against aces, but it is profitable if you anticipate under the gun will fold hands like ace, king, ace, queen, or queens. The jam gives you a good chance to take down the pot right there without risking your aggression. Now, villains play under the gun. Let me add something to this. Let me tell it that villain did have, in fact, aces and fold on flop jam. I think that's an important bit of information that it can use to analyze the entire hand a little bit more accurately. So the flop jam on a board of 7 of spades, 5 of clubs, 10 of diamonds is indeed a dry board, and jamming here puts enormous pressure on hands like ace, king, or queens. While you couldn't know that under the gun had aces, your aggressive line ensured maximum pressure, potentially representing a flop set of 7s, 5s, or even 10s. This line's strength relies on fold equity, and though unusual, it managed to make an overly cautious villain fold the overpair. Cool. Villain's perspective with pocket aces. The pre-flop 5-bet with pocket aces under the gun's 5-bet was expected and signaled strength. However, their decision to fold after the flop is a bit conservative, especially given that aces would still be ahead of your likely range. Flop fold, Folding aces on this dry board after committing 40% of your stack pre-flop is a significant error. From game theory standpoint, aces has an overwhelming equity on a board like that, especially given your potential to bluff or semi-bluff. The fold reveals a fear of sets or slow play kings, indicating that villain is likely to lack confidence in post-flop play, especially when faced with aggression from early position. So this is really cool information. It's basically saying the villain has no idea what they're doing, and you can take advantage of that cautiously if you find a tendency for a weak player to be overly cautious by seeing a favorable flop that you can bluff at, even if it completely doesn't make sense to fold in that spot from a game theory standpoint. You can use the lack of experience and knowledge of such fishy players to your advantage. Anyway, this I think this video gives a clear example of how you can use advanced poker training to dive a little deeper into your statistical data of hundreds of hours, thousands of hours of play on the platform, find your leaks, and work at them and try to improve them with the help of magnificent tool like this, like the live Cash Crusher Poker Coach. Like I said, I highly encourage you to sign up for advanced poker training. The link is below in the description of the video. And if you sign up for a paid subscription, contact me on the Telegram channel. Link again in the description. Send me proof of your subscription, and I will send you the link for this live Cash Crusher Poker Coach for you to use for absolutely free for as long as you want, 24/7, your friend in your pocket, your poker expert in your pocket, at your side at all times. I hope to see you at the tables, and all the best. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe and like the video and share it with your friends, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.